Hey coaches, thank you so much for spending some time to watch this video. Today we're going to go over a little bit about the rules for our leagues and a little bit about refs. My name is Jon Oates. I am the referee coordinator for Auburn and Meadow Vista and Foresthill, and we're just looking forward to a great season. A couple things that make our fields and our days go better as we get into the season. If you're the home coach, please arrive early. Make sure you know if you're the setup or the teardown. There will be a little arrow next to your name on the schedule letting you know. And if you are the home coach, make sure you come with your game card. This is for U10 through U14 or whatever on. Everybody U10 and up is going to use one of these cards. And you guys are responsible for this part. So fill in your name, last name of the coach, and then the team name. And then at the very end of the day, make sure you sign it. That's not saying you agree with the ref. It just means that the game happened and they can get paid. If you're the visiting coach, fill it out, give it back to the center referee. If you're the home coach, bring several appropriate size inflated balls ready for the game. And like I said, sign the card at the end. Okay, this is stuff for all players. Doesn't matter the age level. You got to have opposite jersey colors. So if you're the home team and you show up and everybody's kind of this same blue color and it's too close, then go ahead and put on pennies and just change it up. That's the home team's responsibility. Every player needs to have shin guards that are fully covered by their socks. How they do that is up to them. And players with eyeglasses need to have them secured. Preferably, they would be those athletic unshatterable glass, etc. Those can be expensive. So at the very minimum, they have to be secured. So if you go to your first few practices and notice that you have some players with glasses, talk to them early about getting those secured for game days. No hard casts or jewelry of any kind. A lot of people like to get their ears pierced right before the season starts. Warn them ahead of time that earrings are not allowed, jewelry's not allowed. So all the necklaces and bracelets and sharp things that might hurt them have to come off. Obviously, if they have a medical alert bracelet of some kind, that can be worn. It just needs to be taped and secured so no fingers can get in there and get hurt. And then all players need to play at least 50% of the game. This is rec soccer, so we're not trying to overly win here. It's about developing the game, and so make sure that we have even playing time among our players. Okay, so if you aren't U6 or U8, feel free to skip ahead to the age group that is your age group. If you're U6, U8, and you're not familiar with how this works, you have 10-minute quarters, so 4 of those, and you're going to have 2 games happening simultaneously next to each other, 4-on-4. No goalies. This is a big deal. Make sure that you're not coaching your players to hang out by the goal, protect the goal, protect the goal, protect the goal. That will come later in the game as they get into U10, U12, learning how to stay home and protect the goal, etc. But right now, it's all about 4-on-4. We want to move the ball, working on passing, working on dribbling. So coaches, don't be putting your players right in front of the goal and telling them not to move. That's against the rules. You are allowed to have 1 coach on both fields. Like I said, there'll be 2 fields happening at the same time right next to each other with your players in the middle. You're allowed to say, hey, let's go over here, let's do this, let's try again, do another throw in, etc. But we're not wanting you to grab them, like physically move them where they should go. It's helpful to get a team parent or one other parent to get going through all of the clearance stuff so that they're allowed to work with the kids. You can't just have a random parent in there. They need to get cleared with the district. It's a liability issue. Not district, sorry, a teacher. With the league. Goal kicks and throw-ins. So throw-ins, you're going to give them a retry, right? They're learning how to over the head, 2 feet on the ground. Give them another try. Let them try it again. Goal kicks, just kind of wherever it went out past the goal, bring it out a couple yards, place it there, and let's restart the play. There is no offsides. We shouldn't be coaching kids to be like right next to the goal, cherry picking, waiting for the ball. And nobody U6 through U12 is going to be doing any headers. So none of that. And any infringements of any kind. So, somebody's too rough, someone's handball, anything like that. Doesn't matter. Everything's an indirect kick, and everybody backs up 10 feet to give them space to restart the game. Remember, at this age, it's all about teaching them the basics and having fun. So that's the goal. All right, now U10. If you are a U10 coach, start here with your rules. This is where it gets the full rules of the game start applying. Everything from offsides to corner kicks, all the extra stuff comes in here. You're going to have 2 25-minute halves. When it gets really hot, we might break that up even more and have a water break. Make sure you communicate that with the referee and with the coaches. This is going to be 7v7, and that includes the goalkeeper. And this is a little bit of something that has been inconsistent in the past. We got all the league presidents to talk about it, and we're going to all do the NorCal Premier rules, which are everything is applying in U10. Direct kicks, indirect free kicks, penalty kicks, everything's happening. Mainly so that we don't have referees who've just been trained trying to have special rules just for U10. They're just going to be playing by the rules of soccer, and everybody's going to be learning them starting at U10. So direct kicks, that's like handballs or a foul of some kind. Indirect free kicks, any kick, they've got to be 8 yards of space back. So if they're getting a free kick, teach your kids to go back 8 yards. Penalty kicks, everybody's out of the penalty area except for the goalie and the person taking the penalty kick, and that penalty kick is 10 yards from the goal line. In U10, goalkeepers are not allowed to drop kick or punt. We're trying to keep the ball on the ground as much as possible, teaching building from the back so they can throw it out, they can roll it out, different ways to get it going. You can have a substitution at any stoppage time at the referee's discretion. So they might say, hey, it's the last 2 minutes of the game. We're not going to do any more subs, and that's their prerogative. They can do that. Okay, and then substitutions should happen at the center line. And don't just send 7 kids running off shouting names. It's really important to say, hey, ref, sub, wait for the call to say, yep, go ahead. And then it's really helpful if they hold pennies or something and wait at the half line. And then as the ones that are coming off, run off, they transfer that so that they know how many did I put on, how many did I take off. It's the same number, okay? U10, again, no deliberate headers, slide tackling, or reckless play on the ground. Now, deliberate. So if the ball skims their head, the referee might blow the whistle, and they can do that. But we're going to try to teach them to say, hey, let's make it be where they actually moved toward the ball and tried to head the ball. Obviously, if they get a head injury, we're going to stop the game and do something different. But again, try to teach your players to stay on their feet. We're not wanting to play on the ground a lot. People ask me, is it allowed to play on the ground? The answer is yes, you can play the ball on the ground in soccer. But if you're playing a ball on the ground while there's a bunch of people around, it might become dangerous, not just for the player on the ground, but the people that are trying to play the ball. So that could be, the whistle could be blown and called for reckless playing on the ground. Okay, so if you're new to U10, this build out line is unique to U10. It's the only age group that we do this in. And in essence, we'll talk about it in a few slides here, but in essence, anytime there's a goal kick or the goalkeeper has possession of the ball and is going to restart the play, everybody moves back to give them space to do that. On throw-ins, some U10 coaches like to continue the concept of a retry because they're still learning it. There's a lot of new players. That's optional. You can talk with the other coach before the game and the referee and say, hey, let's do retries where they're still learning. It's not required. And then if they don't get it on the second retry, then it should go to the other team for a throw-in. So let's talk about the build-out line. The whole concept of the build-out line is to encourage the defense to build from the back, not just boot the ball forward and hope for the best. So what happens is that anytime the goalkeeper has possession of the ball, that means even one hand and the ball on the ground, that's possession. Or there's a goal kick, the opponents must retreat behind the build-out line, and this build-out line is between the half line and the penalty area, okay? And they have to wait until the ball is put back into play. Okay, so as soon as the goalkeeper has possession, everybody moves back. Goalkeeper can throw it, roll it, put it on the ground and kick it. But as soon as the ball is released, then everybody's allowed to come back in and play the ball. If they do cross over the build-out line repeatedly, we're going to give them, again, reteaching a bunch. It could result in an indirect free kick at the spot where the infraction happened on the build-out line. And by the way, offside offenses, we're going to get into offside in a second, only apply past that build-out line. So you can't be offside if you are between the half line and the build-out line, only past the build-out line. All right, we'll get to offsides more in just a second. U12. In U12, you're going to have 2 30-minute halves. Again, we might break those up even more if it's a super hot day. They might do quarters and have a hydration break. The clock will still keep running, just so you know. The referees will be trained to do that, but everybody can get a quick drink and come back out and keep playing. This is going to be 9v9. And all regular rules of soccer are going to apply here. We're going to have direct and indirect free kicks. Now it's going to be 10 yards from the ball of the opposing team. And yes, we have penalty kicks, still no headers, and then no slide tackling yet. Okay, that's going to be U14 and on. All normal offsides and other laws of the game apply. The only thing that we are really encouraging at this age, they're still getting in control of their body. We're going to ask them not to be charging or rushing the goalie while the goalie is in their own goal area, that small area, not the penalty box, the goal area. So try to teach your kids to, hey, once that goalie's got the ball or is getting close to the ball, give them their space. We don't charging them. Okay, U14, U19 through U19. Here's your times for your halves. It's regular 11v11, including your goalkeeper, and all headers, slide tackling, everything is permitted per the laws of the game. Offside, probably the most complicated and argued about rule. If you watch a pro game, there's a lot of VAR going on. But in essence, the concept of this is to make sure you don't have somebody just hanging out by the goal and you're just passing the ball up to them and they're just sitting there and then they shoot. That we're wanting to move the ball together as a team and try to get past the defense. So if an attacker is beyond the ball and the second to last defender, doesn't matter if it's the goalkeeper or just two defenders, at the time of the pass and becomes involved in active play, they are considered offside or an offside offense. So this player in the blue and white is in an offside position because they're past that second to last defender and they're past the ball. And at the time of the kick, they're in that offside position at the time of the pass and they go and receive it. They become part of the play. Therefore, that would be flag up, offside call. Hopefully. We're hoping our refs get that. And then you can see this other play. It's a little blurry, but you can see that the player's in an offside position. They don't play the ball, but they become an active part of the play because they interrupt the goalkeeper's ability to get to the ball. So that's another way you can get called for offside. Have an offside offense is if you're in obstructing the play. Now, what's not offside, even though to many people when they're watching the game, especially new parents to soccer, seeing this, it will look like offside, is when you are starting in an onside position. You're not past the ball. You're not past the second to last defender. The ball is passed really far past the line, and then that attacker goes and meets the ball. And where they meet the ball, they are in an offside position and collect it. That is not an offside. That's just really good soccer. It's a through ball. Teach them to do that. That's great. Okay. Another thing that can happen is they can be in an offside position. Okay. So they see this player with the red hair and the white shirt. She's saying, I'm not part of this play. I'm backing up. I'm not actively engaging. And therefore, even though they're in an offside position, they did not become an active part of the play or interfere with the play. Therefore, it's not an offside offense. And just as a reminder, you cannot have an offside offense if a player receives the ball directly, that's the important word, directly from a goal kick, a throw-in, or a corner kick. Now, the next touch, they can be in offsides. So take a corner kick. Someone does a corner kick, doesn't matter where they are on that first touch. But the touch after that, then all normal rules apply. You cannot be in an offside, you cannot get an offside offense and a throw-in. So your player can run all the way offside as far as they want, and they can throw it and receive the ball directly from that, and it won't be an offside offense. There are lots of nuances to this rule, lots of little things that can come into play, but if we can get the basics of not being past the second to last defender and the ball at the time of the pass and receiving it in an offside position, that's the basics you want to teach your players, and as well. Okay, here's some exceptions. If an attacker who intercepts the ball from an intentional pass from the goalkeeper or defender while in an offside position, there's no offense. That whole intentional piece is kind of tricky. If a player is in an offside position, so they're way past the line, and then they choose not to engage it, not offsides. Now, this is a weird one. If a player is in an offside position at the time of the pass, but then they drop back to receive the pass, that's offside. If an attacker with the ball is past the second to last defender, they still can't pass it forward to another player of theirs who's past the second to last defender and past the ball. That would be an offside offense. This happens when someone dribbles past the defensive line, and then their player comes to join them and goes past them, and then they get a pass sent to them. That would be an offside offense as well. Okay, it's confusing. Go watch a bunch of videos on YouTube. Do your best to learn it well, and then be prepared for your players to make mistakes with it, the refs to make mistakes with it, and we're all going to be patient. Speaking of mistakes and things that are controversial, handball. So first and foremost, it is not an offense to touch the ball with your hands in soccer. So goalkeepers are allowed to touch it with their hands a lot of times, and you can accidentally touch it with your hand. It's only a handball offense if a player intentionally touches the ball with their hand or makes their body unnaturally bigger to reach out and touch the ball, and if it happens from the armpit down. So we're using that as our guide, armpit down, and there's a lot of times when it is justifiable. They're falling, they're running, the ball just deflects up and hits their hand. So let's talk about, here's a couple of famous ones. If you saw the Mexico-U.S. game, you know about all the controversy about this guy landing on the ball. He was falling, landed on the ball with his hand, no handball. This guy, his hands were at his sides, and the ball came by. He didn't get an advantage from the ball, and he didn't score a goal, so no handball. Obviously, the gentleman in yellow is making his body unnaturally bigger and gaining an advantage, so therefore that would be a handball. So in youth soccer, there are lots and lots of inadvertent handballs, and people start screaming, handball, call the ball, call the ref, call it ref. There are lots of times when it's just an accident and they don't gain an advantage, play on unless there's a whistle. So things to consider: where did it hit? Were they moving toward the ball or away from the ball? Were their arms at natural state or at the side of their body? Or was it part of a natural movement like falling? Did they gain a clear advantage? So even if it was falling or something like that, did it result in a clear advantage, or did they score directly from it? Okay, so a corner kick comes in and the offense, it hits their arm and it's right on the side, but it goes right in the goal. That would be a handball offense. Or this happens a lot too. You're really close to another player and they just boot the ball really fast and hard at your face. It's a natural response to put your hands up to protect your face, and that would not be considered a handball offense unless you scored a goal or gained a clear advantage. I always ask, do you have time to move away? If you had time to move away, then you should. Right? Please don't teach your players to intentionally put their hands here to do a handball. I have lots of the female players being told, "Hey, you're a girl. You're allowed to do this." It's not true. If you have time to get out of the way, you should. Everybody's allowed to protect themselves, but that's different. Okay. Remember, just because someone falls and it looks really bad or they get hurt doesn't mean it was a foul. These are young players. They're still getting good at moving their bodies. They might just collide. Things happen. It doesn't mean somebody did something intentional or it's a foul. So try to remind your parents of that. Hey, they're going to fall. It's going to be hard to watch your kid fall, and you want to immediately say, hey, that's not okay. But sometimes they just tripped on the ball or ran into the other player. Here are a couple of common soccer rule misconceptions that we hear out on the field a lot. Hey, that was a high kick. They had their foot really, really high. Well, that's not against the rules in soccer. You can put your foot really, really high. As long as you're not right next to somebody else's face or it's not dangerous, it's okay. But if it's right next to somebody, the ref might choose to call it playing in a dangerous manner. Another one, someone has a cramp or something, or they go down and they're hurt. They're like, why isn't the ref stopping the game immediately? Well, there might be a play happening that they shouldn't stop because that team has the advantage they should have. So unless it's a head injury, the referee is going to wait for a natural stop of play, check on the player, and then restart with a drop ball. Like I said, I'm a girl. I'm allowed to put my hands up. Nope, no exceptions for that. Some people like to shout when the ball just barely crosses the line on the sidelines or even in the goal and say, it's a goal, it crossed the line. Well, it has to fully cross the line. So no part of the ball can still be touching the line for it to be considered in play, or a goal. It's not American football where it just has to breach the end zone and a touchdown. So be aware of that. I'll hear coaches a lot shout, hey, ask for your 10 yards, ask for your 10 yards at a free kick, which you can, but it's not required for you to ask for it. It's the defensive player's job to back up. In fact, don't teach your players to run right up to the spot where the free kick is being taken and just stand there right in their way. In fact, you can be given a caution for delaying the restart of the game. So give them their 10 yards. Even if the referee doesn't ask you to do it, that's your job to do that. Okay, you need to be at least moving away from the spot. As it gets into the older ages, U14 and on up, as they're learning to slide tackle, you'll hear things like, hey, they got the ball, it's a clean tackle, right? So as long as they get the ball, it's a clean tackle. There are a lot of numerous factors that can make a challenge, a slide tackle, dangerous and reckless or even violent, even if they get the ball in the process. The distance from which they ran, the speed of their approach, studs up or down, their follow through, sweeping from behind, etc. So we're trying to keep everybody safe out there. So just be aware, just because they got the ball doesn't mean it was a good slide tackle. Okay, there are some rule changes in 2025, the biggest of them being the goalkeeper now has 8 seconds, not 6, from the time of possession to release the ball. Failure to do so will result in a corner kick now, no longer an indirect kick. It's now a corner kick. And the referee, after the first few seconds in their head, will start to put their hand above their head and count down from 5, 4, 3, okay? And that should tell the goalkeeper it's time to release the ball, okay? You can still get a yellow card for intentional delay of game if it's repeated, and that's not, you're still doing that, but it's going to be corner kicks, etc. Another one that they have changed is drop ball. It used to be no matter what, it was whoever touched the ball last got the drop ball, but sometimes there's a situation where the ball was being kicked and it was going to go through the referee from team A to team A, hits the referee, stop the game, we're going to do a drop ball. Doesn't matter if team B was the last one to touch it, it should be team A's ball. They would have received possession if it had not happened. So a little bit of change in how to restart the ball with a drop ball. You can go look at all the rest of those at the IFAB. And if you don't have the app, coaches, I highly recommend you download the IFAB app. It has all the rules of the game, super easy to search if you're ever wondering about something. And those are the rules, like everybody's going off of those. Okay. Speaking of referees, yes, we have some young referees, we have some older referees, but we are the other part of the game. We've got coaches, we've got players, and we have the officials. And we like to officiate games by the rules, is what we're telling our team here, with impartiality to the best of our ability so that games can be safe and fun for everybody involved. Here are other different people. So myself, Dominic Brissy, we're coordinating the refs, training the refs, and Bob Detweiler is the liaison, also helping with training up in Placer Hills. My phone number is there. If you ever have a problem with a referee or have a question, please email me at refereesaysc and let me know. It's super important that you as a coach stay positive and you set the tone for the sidelines and your players and your parents. Remember, this is youth soccer. It's rec soccer. It's developmental, not just for the players and the coaches, but also the refs. Everybody's learning, okay? So please constantly remind your parents and your players, we don't argue and challenge the referee's decisions, and then demonstrate it verbally and with your actions. Do be patient, keep your cool, and treat these younger refs like your own kid. And we have learned that there's a need for sharing back with us how it's gone for you so we know who needs some retraining. So we've created this coaches feedback on referees. The link is here. Let us know what field you were at, what referee you had, and we would love to help them relearn how to do offsides or blow their whistle louder or whatever. Please don't approach the referee without permission. Yell your displeasure with their calls repeatedly. Dispute a missed call during halftime. That's their time to rest, get a drink of water. Please don't approach them and try to argue your point. Loudly making the calls before they have a chance to. I'm guilty of this one. So, it's like offside, and they're like, I'm going to say it. Let me get to it. Or allow your parents or players to heckle them. Just so you know, U.S. Soccer is taking this very seriously, and they have updated their referee abuse prevention with a lot more teeth and bite to it. So here's a little video from them to get you started.
Soccer is a beautiful game, full of passion that can bring out the best in us. But when passion crosses the line, it harms the game's integrity and the safety of those who work in service to soccer. Referees are essential to the game, yet they often face situations that threaten their well-being. In our commitment to protect and empower our officials, U.S. Soccer has strengthened its referee abuse prevention policy. The revised policy encourages referees, players, coaches, and spectators to report abuse. Referee abuse is not always physical. Aggressive language and behavior are also forms of abuse. Comments or gestures intended to insult, belittle, or undermine a referee are unacceptable. This behavior results in a minimum 2-game suspension. Abusive language, harassment, intimidation, or threats towards a referee will result in a minimum 4-game suspension. Physical threats or derogatory language, in person or online, result in a minimum 6-game suspension. Discriminatory actions targeting a referee's race, ethnicity, gender, orientation, or other aspects of their identity result in a minimum 10-game suspension. Far too often, referees also endure physical abuse. Outside of a friendly handshake, there is never any reason to touch the referee. Even minor deliberate physical contact, if unwanted, will result in a minimum 3-game suspension. Intentional physical confrontation, like shoving or throwing objects, results in a minimum 10-game suspension. Violent acts such as physical assault on referees threaten the safety of everyone involved. These acts can result in a lifetime ban and legal action. Together, we have the power to shape the future of soccer and create a culture of respect where players, coaches, spectators, and referees can enjoy the beautiful game the way it was intended. Be a force for good. Respect the call.
Okay, so one or two big things from that. Let me see if I can get this to go back. There we go. We are encouraging you, if you see someone, a parent, a player, another coach that is doing this to one of our referees or anybody's referee, to report it. And you can report it multiple ways, but you can even film it. That way we have something to go off of. There's a whole committee that takes care of this, and we'll be dealing out the consequences. And by the way, it is a multiplier of 3 if the referee is a minor. So if it was a 2-game suspension, then that becomes a 6-game suspension. And you can see some of these things. It's very simple. Even things like, do you even know the rules? Did you forget your glasses? Is the other team paying you? You're the worst ref we ever had, okay? So we're trying to change the complete tone and the support of our youth referees. They are going to get calls wrong. I've been a coach and had a completely clueless ref. I get it. It's super frustrating. But we have to remember that most of these kids are children, and we are adults, and we have to be the adults. Take it up with me, and we'll talk about it and how to get them retrained. Obviously not acceptable. And by the way, even in the pros, somebody said, effing this or F you, and they still got the consequence because they knew what that meant, even though they didn't say the full expletive. Threats, and of course, actual violence toward them. Understand what does and doesn't constitute abuse. Please write or report it within 48 hours if possible. Include details of what match, the team, age, score, all that. And if you can give an unedited audio or video clip, that's even better. And then we will be giving that to the committee to take care of. And again, it's parents, it's coaches, it's players. It doesn't matter who it is. Okay, so like I said, if you got a clueless ref, tell your players and your parents that you'll take it up with the ref coordinator. And remember that incompetent referees, just like bad weather, generally affect both teams equally. Focus on the things you can control: your approach, your attitude, your parents, and your players. Tell them, hey, sorry, that wasn't the right call. That wasn't the correct rule. We've learned the rules. That's not right. They're learning the game and making mistakes just like you are. If every time our players made a mistake or got the rule wrong in the game, we screamed at them and belittled them, it wouldn't go very well. So let's give the referees the same grace. I get it. It can have a big impact on your match or whether you win. Fortunately, this is rec soccer, and those things don't matter ultimately. So we have over 60% of referees only do it for 1 year. And the reason they say that they give up after the first year is because of adults screaming at them and harassment. So let's do everything we can to protect our referees. This was a pared down version of things. If you'd like the more full version of all the rules and all the little tiny stuff, there's some links right there. Again, thank you so much for stepping up to be a coach this year. We need coaches. Let's have a great season. Again, let's have fun playing a game, and as we model character and skills to our players, not just trying to win games. Thank you, guys.